Security Halt podcast is proudly sponsored by Titan SARMS, Precision Wellness Group, and Pure Liberty Labs.
Yeah. It's crazy. I tell the younger guys, I'm like, they hold your hand every step of the way when you enter. And when you get out, they just kind of like kick you out of a moving train. Like, figure it out. I'm like, okay. Like, we don't care what you do.
I need you fucking out of here because I got a guy I really like that needs a slot.
Yeah. I'm like flying out of the train cars that's moving. Like, can you throw me my hand warmer? Please.
Fuck you. You're going to pay for it.
Yeah. $275. I'm like, oh, no.
Sweet baby cry Jesus. Just let this appear somewhere.
Yeah.
I tell you where you need to go. Go to the Fort Walton Beach Army Navy store. It'll be there and they'll give you a fair deal for it. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Hey, it'll be there.
Okay.
Yeah. Kyle Steiner, welcome to Security Halt podcast, man.
Good, man. What's up? I'm happy to be here.
Dude, pleasure to have you. You've been through a lot in your career. You've got quite the resume. You have the privilege of being now, through media, a mentor and an inspiration to a lot of young men that joined. Just had lunch with a friend of mine, an old 1-7 friend, and he was telling me a story about his son and how he looked up to you because of the depictions in the movie that you and your company were a part of. And that's got to be strange, man. That's got to be very strange to reflect on as you are leaving the military. Not only do you focus on the impact you had on the team level, at the platoon level, but now on a wider level, the rest of America and maybe even beyond. Young men that saw your portrayal as just an American kid in war, you've inspired them to pick up service themselves. So today, man, I kind of want to dive into reflection of the career you've had, where you've been, but more importantly, where you're going. So before we start, man, where did Kyle get the inspiration to serve?
My dad was in the Army when I was young, and I lived on Fort Bragg and Fort, Joint Base Lewis McChord. Yeah, I went to the elementary school by Fort Bragg Federal Credit Union on Honeycutt in like first and second grade. So I remember seeing like everybody doing PT, and I was like, yeah, that's what's up. That's like the coolest thing ever, like that optional course that's like out there by the road by Pike Field.
Yeah.
I was like, one day I'm going to
indoctrination.
Yeah. I was like, one day I'm going to climb that rope all the way to the top, So I knew it was what I was going to do. My dad took me to work one time. I don't know if we were at CQ or what, and they had the pamphlets like in the little pamphlet holders for recruiting, and they had an airborne one and it showed like a mass tac jump, and then they had a ranger one and they were like in a Zodiac with paddles and their faces painted. And they had an SF one and it had a dude like peeling the skin off a snake. And I took all three of them. I still have them to this day. And I was like, I'm going to jump out of an airplane and paddle this fucking boat and eat a snake. I'm going to do all that stuff. I'm going to be so awesome. That was, I wanted to be it, man, so bad. Every little boy wants to be a soldier at some point. They want, I would put on like his LCE and be like fucking walking through the woods in Fort Bragg. Like, I'm glad somebody didn't say anything.
And what was your dad like back then? Did he encourage it all? Was he always like, fuck yeah, that's my boy?
Yeah, he liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was into it, man. He was like, all right, cool. Whatever you want to do. And, I ended up joining as an X-ray and not making it the first go round. And that's how like a weird turn of events sent me to the 173rd. And I was like, man, I let everybody down. Like I was supposed to be this awesome dude. And then by this like weird tumbling of the fates, I ended up at OP Restrepo in the Korengal Valley. And, in a company that saw 3 living Medal of Honor recipients, and then, I got shot in the head, and that became like the calling card for everything. And that's why I went soft again. Cause I was like, I can't let it end like this. I can't, like a lot of dudes, lost their lives. That was a terrible deployment, but we were young. Like you said, Denny, we were so young. We were just like, hey, this is how every deployment is like.
Yeah, dude, not only were you young, but the optimism at the very beginning, a lot of people don't understand this. SOF is not the end all be all for experiences. I say this a lot. I owe a huge debt of gratitude to my 82nd platoon, to my squad mates, the squad leaders, the platoon sergeants, the PLs that formed me into the man that was willing to bet on himself to go to selection. And there's a different type of warfare, and there's a different type of mentality and love and spirit of the corps that comes from being in places like the 82nd and 173rd. And I think what I see, especially, refreshing for this interview, I see that young man that's embodied in every single paratrooper, and the same for your platoon mates, your squad mates in that movie. I connect with that, and I see that because I intimately remember being that young, capable paratrooper. Wars aren't won by soft guys and Delta operators. That's not the reality. True warfare, and what people need to understand, what sucks about warfare, is we send our best and brightest young men, 19, 20-year-old, 18-year-old fucking men. We call them kids, and we all do now. But those were the best moments and the best capable individuals in those fights. And when you see the hope and optimism and, yeah, the dread in those eyes, you realize, for any veteran watching that, you connect with it.
Yeah.
Having now lived through that experience, gone through it, talked about it ad nauseum, do you ever watch it or find clips of it and see that version of yourself and say, fuck, man, we've been through a lot, buddy?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I try not to watch the movie, but I'll catch a clip here and there. I was just recently added to a chat with those guys from the 173rd, and
Yeah.
most of them got out within a deployment, if not directly after that one. And it's funny because when we still talk, I broke contact with them here and there over the years. They still see the 20-year-old kid at
Yeah.
Restrepo, like trying to see who could roll a rock further down the mountain in their board time. Like, yeah, mine hit the went past, you know,
Yeah.
being bored as hell. And but through all those fights and everything, and you're right, they were the best. And maybe that's where I'm a little different. I'm with you in this. I think that so much of the online spectrum has been devoted to the soft world. It's like, man, you don't know what the majority 95% of that war, both Iraq, Afghanistan, even Vietnam. We like to tell McAfee SOG stories, but like, come on, like who does the heavy moving? The grunts do. And I how do you build a house, on a really strong foundation? And I credit that time in that platoon and that squad, my Josh McDonough's, my Brennan Burns, those people built me into the man that could go to soft, become a diver, do all that stuff. If it wasn't for that, who knows? They built that foundation, and I'm forever
You know,
grateful.
you touch on something that's really important too. The the platoon framework, the love you have for each other, inevitably it gets blown up. Everybody fucking, when you come back, rotate back, you get orders to go to Bragg. This guy gets ordered to go to fucking Alaska, Hawaii. Did you have a core group of guys that you stuck with and you reached out to on a constant basis, or was it something that fell apart and you didn't have access to?
I came back from Restrepo, and I think 5 months later I went to selection again. This was because I met my now wife, and she saw like one of our crests that I had like in a drawer, and she was like, "What is this?" And I told her it's a thing I really wanted to do when I was younger, and I tried once and was unsuccessful. And she kind of gave me the like what a woman's supposed to say. She was like, "We'll try again." And I was like, "Okay, okay." Yeah. She's like, what's stopping you? I got like she was like, "Well, what the hell's wrong with you?" And I was like, "I don't know." So I dropped the packet, and like a month later I was gone to Bragg trying again. I was like, "Okay."
I mean, it's simple enough. What did the rest of your buddies say? Did you have anybody that was on your side, cheering you on and telling you to keep going, or did you have somebody that was like, "Hey, man, like you just rolled the dice, like you survived. Maybe, maybe readjust and think about getting out because war, there's no certainty, and you already
Yeah.
took one to the fucking head."
Yeah, I mean, it was like split down the middle. Some of them were like, You really want to press your luck, man? Like,
Yeah.
come on, dude. And I was like, yeah, but I really want this. And the other dudes, like there was like 7 guys from the platoon that ended up going at some point. And I had a bunch of friends in that the documentary one where the kid says hash browns, that like the
Yeah.
however many
Yeah.
days in hell. Yeah. That whole scene is littered with like OP Restrepo kids that went there and were like, what the
No
hell?
shit.
Yeah.
I
So
got a couple friends that were in that class as well.
yeah. So people were like, it sucks, it's terrible. But I remember like kind of going through selection. I trained so hard. I was an X-ray. I was in such good shape and I failed. And they could see the immaturity. They could see the, you know, everything that soft looks for, I wasn't. And I didn't train hardly at all when I came back. I just walked the mountain for 16 months and I was like, yeah, I
Yeah.
can rock. I'll be all right. And I did a couple runs, did some push-ups and some PT and went there and crushed it. Not as in shape as I was the first time, but I remember like kind of walking through selection being like, well, it's not the corn gall, so like this ain't that bad. Like nothing here is that bad, you know? And I credit that kind of a mindset. But yeah, the platoon was like, when I got back, they were fired up. They were like, "Oh man, we knew you'd make it," and I was like, "Cool." I really appreciate that. And, I got the guff from the dudes being like, "Traitor, huh?" And but it was always with half hearts being like, leaving the blue cord behind, like should go to Ranger Regiment. I'm like, all right, well,
Yeah, it's you get both. You get both. You get guys that are proud of you and happy for you. Then you get guys that, especially like 82nd, 173rd, definitely in
yeah,
82nd. 82nd, it was not so much lighthearted. It was very much fuck you. You're leaving the division behind. It's like, well, with that attitude, absolutely. Like, now
the
I gotta
173rd is
imagine.
different.
Yeah,
Because it's an OCONUS thing, so, like, you can do what used to be called an IPCOT, aim place consecutive overseas tour. You can do a couple of them, but you knew your time there was limited,
yeah,
and if you did, I think, at least one IPCOT, you almost always came back to a TRADOC spot, so, like, a recruiter or a drill sergeant or if you were
yeah.
Ranger Tab, you went to be an RI because you had just had, like, a really good tour in Europe and Italy, so now you're welcome to
Got paid
Galaga or
back.
whatever. Yeah. So dudes knew our time was limited. So when they're like, "Oh, you like," they knew, hey, we were gonna get rotated out sooner or later, and so we all knew it wasn't like that much of a traitorous thing. Plus, a lot of RFS Rangers at that time got sent to Italy. Like any Ranger Tab dude I knew was like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, man, I got a fight at a gas station." I was like, "Hmm," and that's what made it so good too. We had kind of like cowboy
Yeah.
Ranger Tab dudes, and I was like, "Cool."
Dude, that's yeah. Some of the best dudes I've ever met were guys that were unfortunately let go because of those strict standards, man. Like, they don't
Mhm.
fuck around. But that
Yeah.
that gives other units a chance at having some really, really awesome qualified fucking dudes.
Hmm.
But 173rd also creates some of the best paratroopers, man. Like, shout out to Rusty Campbell. He came to us and man, as a corporal, easily could have been better than some of our squad leaders. And Rusty was just like, to this day, I have such a fond memory of the guy because he was the absolute best ambassador for that unit because he was just so high speed and miles ahead of some of the leaders we had. I was like, fuck, as a corporal, like, fuck, dude. All right. 173rd. Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
And he was a really funny fucking dude, man. So Rusty, wherever you at, brother, hope you're doing well.
No, the
No
173rd was a
chasing.
solid unit. I loved
Yeah,
it as a
dude.
conventional unit, man. I was like, and the funny thing is that like, so for lieutenants, for officers especially, people don't know this, and I might have spoken about this before, but I didn't know that you could be an infantry lieutenant and not have a ranger tab because obviously coming from ROTC and the service academies, their number one
Yeah.
choice is infantry, and then they get a duty station choice, and it's Italy. So
Yeah.
we got like the top 4 at the service academies every year. So until I came back to the States, I was like, the dude doesn't have a ranger tab. He's an infantry lieutenant. I thought you had to have one to be
Yeah.
that. I thought they'd be like, go join the tank corps. I had no idea. And I was like, oh, that's a thing. Cause we got
Yeah.
really good lieutenants. And I was like, we were very fortunate for that because you got the stand up dudes.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
yeah. But you didn't get a lot of guff for going to selection. You got a lot of guff if you failed Ranger school from Italy because they'd come back and be like, you know how much that plane ticket cost us? It was like a $1,600
Wasted.
plane ticket. Yeah. Whole quarter's worth of money is gone now. Which is one, if you passed Ranger school, they'd be like, all right, stay there and go to Jump Master. And then you would, they'd be like, can you get into sniper school? Okay, do that. You'd be all frail just trying to go to like air assault and Pathfinder back to that because they want to pay for you to come back.
Yeah.
Dudes that come back just badged and tabbed out.
This episode is brought to you by Titan SARMS. Head on over to titansarms.com and buy a stack today. Use my code CDenny10 to get your first stack. I recommend the Lean Stack 2. Start living your best life. Titan SARMS. No junk, no bullshit, just results. Just keep going there. Just be a standby.
Yeah, because the $2,000 ticket was too much. An infantry company's like entire half a year's worth of money, you know?
Yeah, people like dude, that's the other thing, man. You get used to doing so much with no fucking money, no budget.
Yeah.
And you get to SF and it's like, fuck, like we have so much money. Like, can I go to this school?
You. Yeah. One of my favorite stories is when I first got to an ODA, they were like, hey, do your DTS. And at that time it was on paper still. So I'm like staring at it and I'm like, well, I don't know what to do. And they were like, what? How do you not know how to do your DTS? Like, you never did this in infantry? And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, what? I ended up messing it up and getting like $1,800 taken back from me. It was to be a role player at level 3. I was like,
I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to.
I messed up. And they like took all my money back.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, dude. That's always been a pain in the ass. I had a few of those when I was a young Green Beret. Yeah, they'll fucking wait 5, 6, 7 months to pay you, but if they overpay you, they'll pull that shit like that.
Quick.
Fucking assholes. Yeah.
But the old guys in the ODA were like, you don't know how to do DTS? Like, what do they teach you in the Q course? I'm like, certainly not DTS, homie. I'm an 18 Bravo. Like, I don't know. I'm just staring at this paperwork with my government pen. Like, oh, God help me.
Yeah, we had a block of instruction on DTS fucking right after like mortars. Yeah.
Mortars and clue. And I was like, oh, there's my DTS block. Oh, you know,
dude. Yeah. That's what battalion did you go to straight? Were you a 3rd Battalion guy?
Yeah, I went to 3rd Battalion, and I kind of like finagled and lied my way to it by weird chance, because when I was in, this is a funny story. When I was in, I was going on doing some R&R from Restrepo. I stopped at a PAX terminal in Asadabad or Jalalabad. I don't remember where it was. And I'm sitting in a PAX terminal waiting for this helicopter to take me to Baf or Kandahar. And there's like church pews. And on the other side of the church pews is one dude, and he's got BDUs. He's like dusty with a beard. And I'm like, that's the coolest dude I've ever seen in my life. And these girls came in and moved some of the pews, and they played music, and they started like dancing their PTs. And I like looked over at him, and then we're just staring at these 2 females, like, what are they doing? And they stopped, and they're like, this is for American Idol night at the FOB. And they're like, you can get something going like this at your fire base if you wanted to. And I was like, what? And I looked over, and he's like, are you going to tell him, or do I have to? But he said it with a Scottish accent. When I say that, you know now. So it was Darren Markwick sitting across from me, and I was like, oh man, he's not an American soldier. So I got to talking with him. Years later, I'm in the Q course. I had passed selection, and I'm standing in a line, and they, I wanted Spanish, Bravo, and I'm in the French line, and I was like, oh. And I had made friends with Justin Carricker, and he knew Darren from before. So Darren's now an IODA cadre, and he's walking by, and he sees me, and he was like, you're the, and we're like, yeah. He's like, yeah, that's my buddy. He's like, you're the guy from the PAX terminal. I said, yeah. He's like, do you want to be in French? I was like, no, I wanted Spanish. He's like, all right, hold on. And he grabbed some poor kid out of the Spanish line and moved him to French and moved me to Spanish. There's a dude in 3rd group right now that he was like, no, what's happening? No. Just move me over to Spanish in the line. And I just like,
there's a dude in 3rd group that fucking hates you.
Yeah.
Just hates you.
Just sitting in Sudan like, this motherfucker, dude. You know, I'm doing 6 months in Medellin, and he's on the border of Chad. Like, this motherfucker, dude, I'll find him.
It's like that scene from fucking, oh God, 21 Jump Street, where he's having a bad trip. Oh man. Oh, Darren, good dude. Great
Yeah, so
golfer,
Darren told
man.
me he was like go to 3rd Battalion. So like slowly I was like, I would go up to group and they're like, hey, do you have a battalion yet? And I was like, yeah, they said I was going to 3rd. And just the S1 dude was like, okay.
Okay.
So he would
Yeah.
do that. And then as I'm like finagling my way, I remember the CSM at the time, he's like, hey, I know you're looking for a company. Or I went into S1 and they were like, hey, so CSM's got to assign you a company. It's either A or B co, obviously. And Darren and a lot of the dudes that I had knew, because I'd also run into 782 on a quick reaction thing. They went out to help, and we went out to help our sister chosen company where Eric Phillips was. So I met like Afshin, Ariana Af. I met a whole bunch of Bob Westman was out there. I met these guys. So I was like, I want to go to B37. That's where my friends are. I've seen them before. So the S1
I
guys
know
like, go
these dudes.
yeah. And I was like, hey, I'm going to be welcomed. So the the S1 3rd Battalion was like, well, go ask CSM what company you're in. So I go and CSM's like putting stuff in his car. He's like, I got to go to Bogota. Some stuff went down. He's like, I know you want to know what company you're going to, and we'll handle it on Monday. And in my head, I'm like, he's not going to remember. So I go back into S1. He was like, what did CSM tell you? I was like, hey, man, he said I'm going to BCO. And I just like weaseled my way into V37. He was like, okay.
He said he needs me in Bico right the fuck now. So if I were you, I'd get that in there.
Yeah, he was like packing a ruck in. I was like, he's not going to remember this. Something's going down. I'm going to tell him BCO. And it worked out. It's just like every story in group is like you like kind of,
you know, 100%, 100% And it's the thing that more people need to understand is we spend millions of dollars, honestly, in the military to recruit. But the number one recruiting that really is impactful is the connection, the one-on-one connection with the Green Beret that you happen to meet. It happened to me. It happened to every Green Beret that I know. They met by God's infinite wisdom. They had a run-in with a Green Beret that gave them the idea of what group to serve, what MOS. It was these chance encounters, man. Always the human connection will always do more than the fancy ads on fucking TV, the fancy gamer dude you have playing for the Army's E team. None of that shit matters. It's the human connection. When you meet guys like Flo, Darren, those Green Berets are impactful. Af, another impactful Green Beret, dude. Like, you meet these dudes in person and instantly, like you just said, oh, my friends are there. Because you had a good interaction. Like, if you're listening, if you're a soft dude, if you're a Green Beret, if you're especially if you're a young Green Beret, don't drink the fucking Kool-Aid. Yes, what you're doing is fucking awesome. It's great. But dude, the interactions you're going to have with a paratrooper, a conventional mortarman, a tanker, like, you have the ability to impact somebody's entire fucking career, or just be a great footnote in their life. Be professional, be a good fucking dude. Like, now more than ever, people are having this soft fatigue. They don't want to hear another fucking Tim Kennedy story. They don't want to hear another fucking I'm greater than that individual story. They want to hear the real human connections, man. Like, there still is that human aspect of it. You serve a purpose to make the battlefield better and more open to conventional forces. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, you can have cool guy stories. They're going to be great. But at the end of the day, you're a supporting element for the infantry. You are. That's just you're all the greatness, all the cool JTAC stories, all the cool blow them up, shoot them up stories. That's great. It's if it's a conventional fight, you're making it easier and you're opening lines of like, you're there to maneuver, close with, and destroy the enemy so that fucking infantry forces can go in and do their job. That's just truth, man. Like, that's
people
a reality.
Don't get that. I'm telling you, Denny, people don't get that. And like, when I say I met Af in a half-built chow hall. It wasn't done yet. And he was sitting on a rolled thing of like the plastic wrap that they put on the floor. And he's eating an MRE. And I kind of barreled through with like a saw. And he was like, hey, do you want a beef stew or something like that? And I remember thinking, like, looking at him being like, is this guy Afghan National Army? Because you know how he looks. I was like, he had like the hugest black beard, because he's Iranian.
Yeah,
so I was like,
he's Iranian.
I was like, I don't know if I should trust this beef stew, but he was the nicest guy ever. And I met so many dudes in that trip, and I've taken that with me. So I was able to do the NTC rotation where SOF was reintegrated with the conventional forces for the first time.
Nice.
And that must have been 19 or 18. And it was so cool, getting to interact with the armored divisions and their brigade support battalion people, and then being like, looking at you from behind like the med shed curtain, like, whoa, who is that? And I'm like, hey, what's up? And having people see, like, I've always thought about going to selection and being able to be like, you can do it if you just like really like buckle down, dude. Hit this, get your GT up, get some PT on. I have faith in you. And like, they walk away with a good feeling. And I want them to have a good feeling when dealing with us.
Yeah. And even if
Yeah.
you don't go to selection, like being able to let them know, like, hey man, what you're doing is still really fucking cool. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's hard for people to understand that it is a team of teams. It really is. And we shit on each other. We shit on S1 because their work hours are insanely stupid. But the kid that works at the mortar pool that loves his job should be proud of his job. The 88
Mm-hmm.
Mike should be proud of his job. The fucking conventional mortarman that's exposed to more blast exposure than half the fucking fighting force should have the ability to say, you know what, I'm proud of what I do, but still be able to say like, hey man, if you want to have the higher calling, if you want to move forward,
Yeah.
there's a
I mean,
pathway for you.
you've seen it when like there's a during group, the support guys will have like they have their like shop days where they'll go and do
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
And you pretty much, if you have something to do, you're like bumping into walls, being like hearing the echo. You're like, I guess I'll just hang out because you literally need a lot of support to make anything roll. You just like sitting in the team room, like, yeah, I guess I'll just you want to order ammo, get a range going, you got to
Yeah.
call down anywhere. If they're not running, you're like, you guys want to do some pull-ups?
Shit doesn't
What are we
happen
gonna
without.
do?
Yeah.
No.
Like, dude, I always tell people some of the greatest teammates I had weren't ODA members, like organic members. It was the attachments that go with you on deployment. Like
Hmm.
the best communicator is was an E5 named Truong that came on every fucking trip we had if he was available because he was that fucking good. And 18 Echo doesn't know everything about an SDN or the fucking Buffalo or this and that. He needs support. He needs a
Yeah.
communicator from the fucking S6. And those guys are world fucking class, dude.
Hmm.
And the best fucking dudes to have on a team when you need them. A lot of people don't realize that, if you need somebody on the gun, a lot of times, there's only 12 of us. Are you going to outfit an entire fucking vehicle element without support, without fucking
Yeah.
maybe one of the kids from the B team it's a fucking supply sergeant or an NBC guy? Like, these dudes are vital to the mission and they deserve to be known and supported, man. And that's one of the greatest things that I realized that about my service, being a guy that came from, the 82nd First. Like, not that 18 X-rays don't do it, but you have more awareness of what it means to be a regular soldier and the importance of acknowledging their service, man. That's one of the
Hmm.
big things that we have to do. It's like, dude, you can't do it on your own.
Yeah. And going back to what you said, X-rays. Something that used to bother me. X-rays used to say things under their breath. They'd be like, "Man, I'm happy I didn't have to do any time in the regular army." And I would like sit back and think to myself, "That's some of the best times of my life." Like
Yeah,
I loved
dude.
the fact that my barracks was clean and he was coming to check it. And I was like, this motherfucker's spick and span. Wait till you see it, you know? And like, just you didn't have to think at all. You just, hey, you were there in the right uniform. We're going for this run. I'm going to say the Army values real quick, do these stupid stretches and let's run. And
Yeah.
it was such a good experience and it was valuable. So when they say that, it kind of hurts a little bit because I'm like, man, I consider that a really valuable time in my life. And then going to war stories, 82nd, right? So I got a good friend that came in as a replacement later, but he had been in, I think it's the second Battle of Solder City with the 82nd.
Phew.
His stories, and I was like, what? And like, Restrepo, we were like, yeah, we were getting shot. And he would have similar stories, but like in urban confines. And I was like, man, that is a huge thing. So when people dog on conventional stuff, I always think of him. I always think of the stories he would tell. I don't directly think to my own stuff with the 173rd Battle Company and Second Platoon, but I think of his stories. I'm like, how can you downplay that? Like, I wasn't at Solder City for that, but like, what Hurt told me. Oh
Dude, we
man,
we we are better. I don't want to say like, oh, not in terms of like, I'm better than you. I think we're better for having those experiences of having been mentored by men that had seen some insane shit. Because just like you, I had guys that their previous rotation was in Afghanistan and was a fucking knockout rumble. Like, their stories, the leadership that was developed, the brotherhood that was developed, and it made it hard to integrate. It made it hard because those guys had Afghanistan combat experience. Like, we're talking real combat in that brotherhood you forge. But when you get invited, when you finally break through and you're invited into that fold, then you realize, like, oh shit, these guys value me. These guys see me as one of them. Like, I value that and I cherish that more than anything, because that's true brotherhood forged in something that few people can understand. This episode is brought to you by Pure Liberty Labs. Quality supplements designed to elevate your health and performance. Check out their full line of quality supplements. Whether you're looking for whey protein, pre-workout, creatine, or a super greens drink, Pure Liberty Labs has you covered. Use my code SecurityHalt10 at checkout today. Like, it's Jim the banker down the street doesn't have that. Timothy,
Yeah.
the high stakes sales guy doesn't have that. We have that. We have that through our experiences of having served in a regular line company. I think it's important to honor that and understand that that is a sacred brotherhood. And I hate people that try to minimize it and shit on it that never experienced it. Like, that's where real soldiers are made, and that's where a lot of experience comes from. You
No,
don't
for
get some
sure.
of the best leaders without that.
100%, brother. Do you remember showing up to the 82nd and when the formation would break apart, they'd go into the smoking and joking circles. The CIB
Yeah.
crew was by
Oh,
themselves, and
fuck yeah, dude.
you wanted to be. Well, you were like, what are they talking about? You wanted to be with the CIB crew, and
Yeah.
you didn't have one, so you were like, I'm just gonna stand out to the outside. And when you got one, you were like, yeah, dude. And you did the
Yeah.
smoking and joking with the CIB crew, and you knew the other dudes were like, oh man, I can't
Yeah.
wait to have that, because in this day and age, Danny, for thousands of years, young men had a rite of passage, and in some third world countries, they still do, whether it's a Maasai hunting the lions or whatever. You're no different than when you come back from that, whether it be a short period of time or a long period of time, but you have a sense of, hey, I belong, I'm a man. And that's what that was. I wanted to be in the CIB crew so bad.
Dude, you are 100% correct. The rites of passage, we don't have that. Well, we do. We have a false sense of what that is. People raise men or young boys into believing that the pathway to manhood is you get out, or you go to high school, graduate high school, go to college, and in college you join a frat and you drink with men and you have tons of relationship with women, and that's your pathway into becoming a man. Then you get that job and you're a salary man. Now you've done it, Jimmy. You're a man. And that doesn't make you a man. Doesn't make you a man.
No.
I'm not saying that you have to go to war to become a man, but I'm saying that there's a process that we went through that gave us that. And for all its flaws and for all the wrong turns it's led some of us down, at least it gave us that sense of, holy shit, I went through this fucking insane fucking experience. And now I owe it to myself and to the men around me to be better. Like, because now I'm a mentor, whether I'm
Yeah.
a specialist, a corporal, people look up to me with this fucking CIB. Like, now this means something. Now I have to uphold the standards of my fucking formation, my organization, and do better. Because that's what I felt. And I know a lot of us felt that way coming through. But I got to imagine it was a little bit different when the entire fucking world is seeing you and your platoon and your company on TV, in movies, and relived in Hollywood movies. And it's like, fuck, dude. Now it's like, I got to uphold the standard in front of everybody. Now I'm a Green Beret and I have those experiences. And then, in our profession, everybody takes their jabs. Everybody fucking finds a way to find you, like, oh, you're the fucking Restrepo guy. It's like, fuck, dude. Like,
Yeah.
what was that like?
Yeah. I mean, well, I showed up to B37 and they, I like knocked on the door. I'd interviewed for the dive team and they're like, yep, okay, you're going to go there. And then something happened and I got sent to a different team, 786, right off the rip. And I went and knocked on the door and they told me to stand outside, but then just never let me in for like a week or 5 days. So I just hung out like outside of the team room, and I was like, all right. And then I can't remember his name, but somebody opened the door and there was an article about Restrepo, and he goes, and there was a picture of me doing something, and he goes, hey, is this you? And I was like, yeah. He was like, you were there. I was like, yeah. And then the door slammed for a minute. I could hear some bustling, and they opened it. And I got, come on in. And yeah, there was the guff. Like, well, what do you know about this? What do you know about fast roping? I'm like, clearly not a whole lot, but I have eaten MREs for 16 straight months. Have you? It's terrible. You know, it's pretty shitty. Yeah, definitely have to cut your teeth. And but it's worth it because I enjoyed that. I enjoyed being like, hey, I can show you that I can be a productive member of this team and do everything I can, and try to figure out how to fit in with dudes that I just thought were the coolest thing ever. And you're right, in soft we do a lot of cool stuff, but it just doesn't have that flavor sometimes to the original, the platoon.
Yeah. I think the thing that a lot of people don't understand is the bonds we build in places like the 82nd or 173rd. You don't shed them. I smile like a fucking little schoolgirl when I see my phone and it's one of my old 82nd buddies. More often than not, when I see an old teammate calling, I'm like, oh fuck. What's going
Yeah.
on? That's really like, it's more like a mission, like work thing. Like, hey yo, like what are we doing? What's going on? But it's different, man. It's like an old family, like, and it's hard to explain to people that it's a different type of love. It's a different type of nostalgia when you see those guys when they reach out. And one
Yeah.
of the things that few get to experience is both of those families, both of those lives. Like that's something that's very, very hard to explain to people. And I find everybody highlights the one. And it's like, no, dude, like you have to understand both worlds, both complete worlds. And it's something that we need more people talking about, man. It just it hits different, man. Like when you go to the old reunions, when you go see like your brothers from that platoon, like have you made it a mission to reconnect and reengage on a yearly basis?
Yeah, like recently, I fell into the trap early in the soft where it was like, don't have social media, don't do any of this stuff. So I kind of
Yeah,
broke everything off, and I regretted it for a long time. And just recently, now that I'm starting to get the retirement ball rolling, I was like, you know what? And I've been added to chats and talking to dudes and reaching out and talking about reunions, and it's lighting me up. And I'm like, ooh, I'm so pumped to go to like Reno or whatever where these dudes are and just hug them and see them, and I love it. And you're right, like, having the camera in your face for that was really tough because a lot of people, I've come to realize that a lot of conventional guys, especially infantrymen, airborne infantrymen, went through a lot of the same stuff, and soft has their moments, but people ask me the difference a lot. A lot of civilians
yeah,
will be like, "Well, what's the difference?" I said, "The difference is you have a lot of support in the soft, a lot of eyes on you at all times." At Restrepo, none of that stuff was published while it was happening, so they were just getting footage to do later. I can't count the amount of times where a high end brass would be like, "Hey, we want to see OP Restrepo. We want to see the boys," not realizing that you can't get vehicles and you can't land a helicopter up there, so they have to land pretty far away. It's about a 2.5 hour walk up, and they would land, and we would, "Hey, put your top on and shave," because we were all nasty, like Lord of the Flies nasty up there, and we'd be like looking down, and they'd have the binos and this, whoever, whatever 2, 3, 4 star would land and look up and be like, all right, well, we don't have time for that. So next time, we had nothing. Nobody, they were just like, do your thing and hang out there soft. You get the world thrown at you, money,
yeah,
everything, we had nothing, And so I tell you, it's the level of support and eyes that the young men that you were talking about, us as young men, you do it alone. You do it. And that's why the bond is so much tighter because you're up there eating, sleeping, and just sucking with hardly anything next to the same dudes for 12, 15, 16 months. Whereas with soft, you're like, here, have these new uniforms, have these new watches, have everything. Hey, you can't go out unless you have 7 aircraft overhead. Where like I remember being at
yeah,
Restrepo, we found a 155 ID. They're like, well, can you carry it back in a ruck? And we were like, what?
bro. We
A,
want
this
to
thing's
use
like,
it.
yeah, they're like, this thing's super heavy, but B, like nobody wants to touch it. We're all 19-year-olds. The red wire, the blue wire, man. But I remember thinking, what the hell were we doing? Talking about carrying a 155 ID back.
Dude, the ideas that come, the good idea fairies, man. Like
Yeah.
It's fucking asinine, the shit we did, and and we have to remember
Yeah.
too, like, the guys are giving that order oftentimes, like, a PL, like, he's just a 20-something fucking kid himself. It's a good idea, Ferry. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude,
And my memory is going bad. And like I'm using my chats now a lot with the old boys to uh to kind of get my memory right on a lot of things that happen. Because headshot is it as you know, it's like coming full circle to where I'm like, man, I can't remember anything. People will be like, Chief, tell us a story. And I'm like, "Ugh." But I was just talking about the things, and I was, talking with the P3, the psychologist, and she's like, well, see what you can remember. So I was going back and I was like, hey, did we drop like something on somebody's house one time? Like we were getting a sling load to Restrepo, and they're like, yeah, it was Thanksgiving. It was vanilla pudding. I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, we dropped like a whole pallet of vanilla pudding on this poor dude's house, and they were all covered in pudding. And I was like, oh, how did I not remember that? But it's things like that. And then everybody chimed in like, oh man, the pudding. And we wanted it so bad. And I was like, damn, we dropped vanilla pudding on somebody? But that's the shit you don't hear a lot about in soft. But in the regular time, you're like, oh, that's crazy ass shit we did,
yeah, dude.
Yeah.
It now steering it to a serious subject, we minimize and we downplay and we compartmentalize a lot of the shit that we experience throughout our career. And it always happens in these periods of transition where stuff starts to like find its way out. You went through and you survived not just one deployment, but several deployments, dude. Are you finding yourself now being able to take a knee and finally talk through, process, and sort of reframe the things you went through? Like you mentioned P3. What is your pathway to mental health, to making sure that you're taking care of yourself, mind, body, and spirit as you're finally taking the next step in your life?
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing a lot of the talking it out.
Nice. Good.
Yeah. It was great, man. And the lady there made me rewatch Restrepo and write down my feelings about how it was. And you know what? It was different than I thought. I thought it would be a lot of somber stuff, but it was me remembering the good times with the boys.
Yeah.
So, but me being able to process a lot of things and get it out, it's hard because I'm using my family as a tool mostly right now. Still looking out the window at the civilian world. How are they going to take it? Because just like you, I've done this for more than half of my life. It's
Yeah.
it's scary. It is. People don't understand. It's like getting out of prison. So, but I am working on it, and I found an outlet. I coach kids, and I love coaching kids, and that's what kind of led me to what I'm doing on the outside, which is or what I'm trying to set up for the outside, the operator mindset and the inner operator is try
Yeah.
to
Let's talk about that, man. Let's
yeah
talk about this next chapter, dude. One thing that we need more of is individuals such as yourself that are willing to engage with our next generation, are willing to engage with people that then come from a service background and are like, that's how we inspire the next group of kids to pick up that green beret or maroon beret.
yeah yeah. I mean, whatever, just to do something bigger than themselves, get out of their comfort zone, and see what they're made of as young men. And I started this because several different things. I didn't want to be known as the guy that survived the headshot alone. So I was like, all right, I got to figure something else out because everybody, when the movie came out, it came out at Bragg when Seven Troopers at Bragg, and I was with them. So I went and saw it, and everybody in the theater knew who I was, and they were like, "Oh man!" I was
Oh,
like, "I got to stop
fuck.
being the head." I know, I got to stop being like sneaking in the back, and I was like, "I got to stop being the headshot guy." And then they're like, "Oh, he just," because all I did was survive. I went to Medal of Honor ceremonies at the White House, Sal Juntas, and I was the first one I went with a Green Beret, and I was like the only Green Beret there because it was all that they invited the platoon and the
Yeah.
company. And I was like, all right, I'm going to keep building on this and trying to bear the legacy of what I think I can be further
Mm,
on to inspire men. I don't want to be just the guy that survived, but that definitely helped me. That was my rite of passage. Like I remember McDonough, my squad leader, saying like, "Hey, welcome to the first day of the rest of your life." I was like, "Okay," and that changed me. That completely turned my world around. And then meeting my wife and telling me to go to selection. But I started the operator mindset. It's like a weird story because I was always like, all right, I want my sons to be men that I can hang out with. I was training in
mm,
Dahlonega for some things a while back, and I ran into like these just not good teenagers on like somewhere in down there, and I was like, my wife was pregnant with our first child, and I was like, all right, how do I get my son not to be like that? Like, how do I get my son to be a man of honor, integrity, character, somebody that I would like to hang out with as an adult, given the values that have been instilled in me through the Brotherhood of Combat, SOF, and everything like that. So that's the never ending question, right? Is how do you instill these values into people without the trauma induced in getting them for you and I,
Yeah.
right? How do you do it?
This episode is also brought to you by Precision Wellness Group. Getting your hormones optimized shouldn't be a difficult task, and Dr. Taylor Bosley has changed the game. Head on over to precisionwellnessgroup.com, enroll, and become a patient today.
So I went about that using just different anecdotes that we learned throughout the course, our course in the military and warfare, and my son's wrestling. And I started doing it and getting positive reactions over it. And then further down the line, a lot of dads started coming up to me and being like, "Hey," not for coaching, they'd be like, "Hey, can you talk to my son? Like he's having this problem." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, sure." So I would start doing it, and I got more and more play. But then I started noticing a lot of fathers would use it as an excuse. They would be like, "Well, that's their dad, and he's a Green Beret, so he's different." And that really tore me up because I was like, "No, I'm not different. Like, there's none of us are different. It's a
Yeah.
mindset thing that you go through, and you know that it's a mindset that that you can put yourself in to be the man you want to be.
Yep.
I'm not any tougher than anybody or any smarter. None of us are. As a matter of fact, in any other line of work, we might have been at the bottom of the barrel. Who knows?
Yeah.
But we have a mindset that pulls us through Camp McCall, that pulls us through that 96-hour patrol when you're like, oh God, you've
Yeah.
rolled your ankle. You're like you're black on
Yes.
water, you're like eating the snow off a river. You're like, this is terrible, you know?
Yeah.
And so how do you induce those values without the trauma of combat or a headshot or whatever? And that's kind of where I started going with this, is just helping some men, young men, older men, new fathers. I launched the Frontline Fathers Challenge, which is like I always tell my sons what I'm going to do, so that they'll hold me to it. They're like, "Did you get up and go for your run?" I'm like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
I did." And if I don't, I feel like a complete shitbag. So I started this thing, and then I'm relaunching it again because I got a good vibe from it. Dudes are like, "Hey, I'm working out with my teenager for the first time ever," and I'm like, "Cool, man." And it all starts with leading by example, right? Like you want, we had a group commander that once wrote me a letter of recommendation and said I would let Kyle lead my sons into combat. And I thought that was the glowingest thing anybody's ever said about me. So I started thinking about, like, any man can lead his sons, any man can be a leader in the home, but how do you do it? Well, you do it by being a man of your word first. If you say you're going to do it, do it. And you know this, the hard right over the easy wrong, every
Yeah.
time. It's going to suck, and there's no way around it. I'm not here to be a David Goggins where I'm just like screaming at you for motivation. Like, if you're not inherently motivated, but we can definitely find a thing that'll pick at you to make you be the man you want to be. And that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I think that's needed, man. The crisis that we're seeing right now on multiple fronts, it can easily be identified to the fact that we don't have fathers and husbands at home that are leading their families, that are
Mhm.
actively involved in their children's lives, and helping them by setting the example. Just as simple as that, just setting the example of what a good man is. Like
Mhm.
our kids shouldn't have to look into science fiction or TV shows to find the example of what a good man is. That's a sad thing, man. Like there are a lot of kids that don't have direction. But if there's a dad at home, that should be the template for success. And a lot of men are, whether it's they're focusing too much at work, they're lost their identity, wherever it is, they need help, they need assistance. Because like now more than ever, like it just seems like a desperate situation. But I think if we can just start at the simplest thing, which is identifying how to get yourself back into the mindset of being a leader within your own family and your household, like you can start turning the tide along for some of these battles, man. Like I think that's just as simple as that. So
Yeah. I always tell
yeah,
men, like, hey, look in the mirror. And if what you see, you wouldn't be happy having your son turn into that or your daughter marrying that, then it's
yeah,
time for you to make some changes. It's time for you to make some changes because they are inevitably going to become what you are. And she's going to marry that. And you need to
yeah,
figure it out. So,
yeah, dude. That is 100%, dude. That is the truth that a lot of guys need to focus on. Like, but there's a lot of people that are advocating for it. There's a lot of people. I don't think it's a hopeless endeavor. I think there's a lot of people that are now talking about it and bringing a light to it. Are you thinking about doing more public speaking? Or you said you're launching a program.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm watching a program. I'm definitely gonna do some public speaking, trying to get my footing while looking for my hand warmers and stuff. So as soon as I get forward ahead on all the turn and stuff, and I'm just kind of waiting, then I'm really gonna take off with it. But yeah, definitely do some public speaking. I'll talk to Nick Lavery a little bit and some other
nice.
people that are doing it. But it's because everything I've learned about leadership in the army, I learned or in life, I learned the hard way in the army, and
Yeah.
I created this so that my sons and other men and boys and whatnot could can learn the same lessons that I kind of learned and you learned, through getting slapped, a can't slappy or whatever. But there are ways to impart this stuff onto other men, and whether that's hearing it from one of us or going through your own sort of rite of passage. I'm into that. I like that, and I like seeing it
Yeah.
for my sons.
Absolutely, man. I really think that whatever approach you take, I think a book is definitely in line. I think that I always tell people, tell your story. I know part of the story has been told, but there's more to Kyle than just the Valley. There's more to Kyle than just seventh group. I think that the real lessons, the real takeaway are still waiting to be told. And I think that as you move forward, you got to take ownership of your story, man. I think that there's more to it. I'm glad we got to dive into just a little bit of it. But I think that when you're able to sit down, brother, write your story, write your book, get it out there.
Yeah, man. I want to. I was just talking to Jay Jolly about you because, I always like my life and most of us. We always want that next challenge. I went to dive school
Yeah.
at 37 years old because he was like, I don't know if you can do it, and I was like, well, I'll show Jay, and it was
I
terrible.
love
It
that
was the
dude.
worst thing I've ever done. Yeah, I love Jay. To this day, he was like, I'm doing the 50 and I keep coming up and I can't do it. And I look up, everybody's giving me tips. They're like, well, maybe you should do this. And he's like standing there. He's like, maybe don't be a pussy. That's all he
Yeah.
said. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, Jay, so it's always seeking that next thing. I credit Jay for that. I was like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have done it without you. But at
Yeah.
37, so it
Yeah.
sucked.
No, Jay can never get me to it. I've had the privilege, the greatest team I ever been on was 3-5. The greatest
Hmm.
men, the greatest mission, like uh, to have my career end on that note, like there's no better. Like you can, like I looking back, that was the greatest thing, the greatest people, the greatest moment. And I'm a free fall dude, like free fall, JM, ADIC, fucking everything free fall. And I wouldn't trade all of that just to have done my time as a warrant officer on the free fall team. Yes, flying in the sky is the greatest thing. Being a human meat missile is way better than drowning in the water. But I wouldn't trade one day drowning in the water with Micah for, a 5-year stint on a free fall team. Like those guys were just fucking amazing. Like it was amazing being able to witness that culture in that company with those men. Like I'm nothing. I'm absolutely fucking nothing. I served with giants. I served with men that are infinitely better than me. And to have had the opportunity to been with those guys, sounds hella gay. To have had the opportunity
No.
to serve alongside those dudes,
Yeah.
and it was the best fucking team I've ever been on. From the most junior fucking dude on the team to our captain, best fucking dudes. And I think there's something to it. I think there's something in the culture, and not everybody was a diver in that. We were able to get a lot of guys dive qualified after the combat deployment, but going into that deployment, we have very little divers.
Yeah.
But it's just I don't know. I think there's something in the water. I think there's something about that. And but for me, dude, like being a free fall dude was just the end all be all. I would constantly chase that high of being
Yeah.
at Eloy and doing that a fucking Archangel package, man. It was just such a thrill, dude. Such
Yeah.
a
I'm
thrill.
a free fall dude. I'm a free fall jam. I've done several archangels too. And I like diving more, but you're right. There is something, and it goes along with what we were talking about. Like you have to you have to leave no room for failure. You have to burn the ships.
Yeah.
Because when I went, 37 of us started high school, 14 of us passed. And I failed the first one, man. And I remember thinking to myself, like, all right, well, they'll either have to pull me out of here, in which case I'll go home and see my kids play T-ball, or I'm going to pass. And, I was like, so you have to burn the boats. But, I was thinking about, you said something. We stand on the shoulder of giants, and we did. I'm a warrant, you were a warrant. And I thought about this the other day. They were doing some training with the 60, and they couldn't do something with the safety switch on the 60,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
handheld. And I like leaned down and I did something. They're like, oh, man, Chief knows everything. But I remember somebody showing me that. And
Yeah.
everything that we say as a warrant, as the subject matter expert on a team, you had somebody better than you tell you and take the patience to tell you. I say nothing original. Everything I
Yeah.
say that the young dude's like, oh, Chief knows, somebody told me,
Yeah.
It's just regurgitated information. You've just been around long enough to have it all. And thankfully, those dudes took the time to teach you. No dude wakes up in the morning and is like, I can't wait to be a fuck up today. You're just trying to do your best here.
Maybe at Fort Hood. Maybe.
Yeah. Ooh.
Oh man, so fucking true, man. That's the I always tell guys like everybody should know that the end all be all greatest fucking position on an ODA, the person who has the most influence, the guy that will bring that attachment home is his team sergeant. But for me, selfishly, I will tell you that there's no better job than being a warrant officer. I absolutely loved it. I hope more people take that job on. I think that it's just remarkable. It's incredible. And it's the greatest fucking title I ever had the chance to like borrow for a few years, being chief. That is the greatest thing. You don't fucking fully earn it like your Green Beret. It's rent's due every fucking day. Every fucking day, that title is earned and rent. Like if you're not a good warrant officer, people call you fucking WO as you first show up, like Mister. Like if you're a good warrant, people call you chief. Like, and that's something that yeah, man, it is a great fucking profession, and it's a great fucking end note, man. Like it is a great way like to finally like to be heading out the door with that title. That is such a great thing, man. I know it's not lost on you. I know it's something that truly
Love it.
resonates with you as you're moving on in your next chapter, man. So I'm glad we had this talk, man, because self-reflection is something that isn't talked about. Nobody, I think there was one person in my career that said, hey, like when it's your time, reflect and look back at the journey you had. So I hope you have more time at the locker to at least sit down with Jason and bust his balls a few times before you leave, dude.
Yeah. Reflection is key, brother. I took my kid
Yeah.
apart like 2 days ago, and it was sad. Where you just
Yeah,
unlacing it,
dude.
and I was
Oh, yeah,
staring at something I had worn for so long. Shit's all grimy. You're trying to peel
yeah,
stuff off, and I was like, this sucks.
yeah.
I'm gonna miss
I
it.
was fortunate. I bought my own kit for the last few years, and I took. This is the one thing I will say this now. I think enough time has passed. I took three of my own personal weapons to combat and rocked them.
Yeah.
Took my own sniper rifle, took my own fucking M4. I called, this is the greatest thing. I called Daniel Defense and the rep. Well, I shouldn't say his name because what we did was technically illegal, but it was a group guy. And he's like, we put in an order, fucking 10 of us got the same rifle, did everything just like straight out for a SOCOM contract. Got those puppies in time, fucking took them to Afghanistan. So I had my own Glock, took my own sniper rifle, and took my own fucking M4. And
That's awesome.
now those are proudly at home.
Yeah.
But being able to like see that and be like, okay, like at least I still have that. That's still there. Yeah,
That's cool,
man.
brother.
Yeah, everybody was like, oh, they're going to check serial numbers. I'm like, trust me, done this enough. They're not. And sure as shit.
Good to go.
Fucking
All right.
the amount of shit you can smuggle in the country is pretty
Yeah.
alarming. We want to talk about the things you can take out of country on this episode.
Right.
Dude, Kyle, thank you so much for being here, man. If people want to connect with you, where can they go?
I'm on Instagram is my biggest thing right now. I have my wife help me. I'm not great at it, but it's at real Kyle Steiner. Also on Twitter or X. Yeah, I'm working it right now. I'm learning the ropes of social media. I remember MySpace and the Facebook, so I'm like, I'll figure that. You had MySpace, Denny. Don't. Tom
yeah.
was your top. Tom was your friend.
Best friend I ever had.
Yeah, man. Had your music. So I'm learning the ropes of Instagram, and like, you know, my wife will be like, I'll look at like a video of Ronnie Coleman deadlifting, and then it'll all be deadlifters, and she's like, "What? You're messing up your algorithm." I'm like, "I don't know what that means." She's like, "It's nothing but lifters now." I'm like, "Oh." Or like keto pancakes, like I'm like, "Oh, sick." So it'll be all like how to make keto chili, all this stuff. And like, she's like, "You stop doing this. You're messing up your algorithm." I'm like, "Okay, I won't."
That's why you need a burner account to search and look for all the things you need, and then you leave your actual
that's what she said.
Profile.
She's like, search stuff associated with what we're doing. I'm like, okay, not keto pancakes.
Well, good. At least you have somebody who's giving you the roast, man. I had to learn the hard way.
At Real Kyle Steiner. Just look for me.
Hell yeah. Fuck yeah, dude. Well, guys, do me a favor. Go ahead and pause. You know, the episode's almost over. Go down to the episode description, click those links, and one more link. Throughout the entire month of Thanksgiving, we need to support the Special Forces Foundation. So I'm calling it Operation Support the SFF. That's right. They need your support. So the support requests aren't going to be dwindling down anytime soon. And because we're heading into the holiday season, we're probably going to see a lot more. So do me a favor, scan the QR code right here and donate to the SFF today. It doesn't matter if it's like $5, $20, but I'll do you one even better. If you donate from November 3rd till December 15th, I will throw in your name into our new giveaway. You want Titan SARMS? You got it. You want a brand new Whoop 5.0? It's in the running. Tons of other shit, some supplements for some great companies. They'll be available. All you got to do is donate. Send me a DM with a screenshot that you donated, at least $20, and I will throw your name into the hat. And then hopefully you'll win. And I'm going to be throwing in a lot of different things. So stay tuned for more. Just donate today. Kyle, thank you for being here, and thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you all next time. Till then, take care. Security Halt Podcast is proudly sponsored by Titan SARMS. Head to the episode description and check out Titan SARMS today.